And what we found, I mean, just to give people a background on the housing, it's one of the largest buckets of money. And one of the misnomers is, you always hear from the council, we've got austerity cuts. We've got austerity cuts, we can't put a new tap in someone's home. Or we can't give an elderly person a new kitchen after 40 years. However, the way the council finances are set up for housing is called the housing revenue account. And the housing revenue account is a ring-fenced item. So all the rents coming in from the tenants, all the service charges from the leaseholders go into this one big pot, and they are only allowed to use it for the housing. They can't go and spend it on New Town Hall, or which they have. Sorry about that. So they can't go and spend it on potholes, they can't go and spend it, I don't know, on some other project or elsewhere. That money is ring-fenced for housing. So it has not been cut by central government. The only thing that's been cut is this 1% rent reduction, which, okay, it has been cut, but it's not the big cuts that you keep hearing.
I run this online poll asking people, who do you think, which parties, councils are the most transparent? So the questions were, do you think it's Conservative, Labour, other, or does it make no difference at all? Twitter, about 60% of people on Twitter thought it's going to make no difference at all. Now, I appreciate the numbers though, so before I tell you this, because it's like putting the cat amongst the pigeons, this one. But basically, based on my survey, and I'm so keen to do this, but Conservatives are less transparent than any other council. So Conservatives are there, Labour is next. Now I appreciate these are low numbers, so I don't want to claim this statistically significant. And other is just a little, but there's only 4 in the other. The 4 others in the sample were 2 no all controls, 1 Lib Dem, and those of you who haven't heard it, Temple and Farringdon. They look after the City Ward. So, but there's a clear difference between Conservative and Labour. I was so tantalised by this. I've got to go and do more because, to me, if that's true, and I've got a funny feeling it is true, it's definitely worth doing more. So I'm going to do a bit more work on that. But at the moment, it seems to me Conservative councils are less transparent than Labour councils.
And you would have thought if 50% of repairs are contested, and it looks like some of those repairs are disappearing off of Lambeth databases as well, so something's going on there. So we've been actually had a really fruitful discussion with the head of finance in 2016. It was really helpful and really interested that we were asking these questions. The following year, all of those kinds of connections were blocked. So those helpful people were stopped from communicating with members of the People's Audit. That's not a sign of a healthy democracy, to me. That's showing that there's something really worrying going on. And what you get as a response are smears in the media or online and dismissing resident viewpoint. I think it's important, if 50% of repairs on Cressingham are looking dodgy, that's addressed and acknowledged. It's the same story in Central Hill, it's the same story in other estates. So we're putting together a database of housing data for all estates across Lambeth. It's a monumental effort, particularly when people are so difficult in terms of not giving you access to information.
Now Lambeth, in all fairness, cannot be expected to have in-house all the necessary expertise to manage big projects. And we have suggested many times to them that they hire proper consultants, but they won't do it. Yes, consultants charge fees, of course they do, but the savings that they create cover the fees many times over. Everybody else uses consultants. Why don't Lambeth? Without independent consultants, Lambeth projects are unaudited, uncontrolled, unaccountable, and quite frankly, unacceptable.
Well, for me, I'm just someone who's always used libraries throughout my life, back to school, in my adult life as well. This is not something for me that is a red or blue or greenish or whatever. I'm just someone who really loves using libraries, and I got involved with the People's Audit to begin with because I heard that my local library, South Lambeth in Stockwell, was to become a gym and was to have gym facilities installed in there. And I thought that was odd. And then I learned a bit more about it and I thought it was even more odd. And really the main point I think that's come out of the work that we've done on People's Audit around libraries is to say that really an efficiently, competently run library service is not an expensive thing in the grand scheme of things. Lambeth has spent about £3 or £4 million on its library service for decades. It spent more in cash terms in 1985 on its library service than it did this year just gone. This is not an expensive endeavour. If you leave it to run as it has for many years and serve half of the borough or a third of the borough, then it will do its job and it will offset those costs many other times through things like mental health interventions, through community groups, language groups. Where I work, where I live, the Portuguese community is very homogenous. That's a hard-to-reach group of people to teach language skills, employability, skills and training, but we reach them. Through Takes That Lambeth Library, we have rooms full of people whose first language is not English and who struggle to speak English. So I think the work that we've done really has shown that, left alone, the library service will really pay for itself. The other really important point is that many of the interventions that we've seen in the library service in recent years have added cost, not reduced cost. The entire rationale for Culture 2020, the major cultural review that took place a few years ago, was to save £800,000 from the Libraries and Cultural Services budget. Now, if you add up other interventions, such as, well, security, Carnegie Library, the cost of the work there, the cost to change West Norwood Library, we are getting towards several £1 million extra added money that has been spent that would not have been spent had the library service been left to its own devices. So,
and you have this image of auditors coming to give you a bit of kicking and criticise. I tend to go in, and most people, they get it. If you go in and say, okay, we're not quite right here, let's see how we can put it right. And that was the approach I took with Lambeth. And I have to say, the first year we went in, the finance guy, I sort of said, look, that's my job is saving money on construction contracts. Wouldn't it be good if I could save you some money? And you wouldn't have to demolish any estate, or you wouldn't have to close the library. Yeah, that's great. And I've got the FOI correspondence now. He went to his bosses, said, how about we take him up on this offer? And no. And that's not just peculiar to Lambeth. I'm afraid there's a lot of other councils that do that. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to work with the council, but at every step now we've been stopped. And the first step to put something right is to admit you've got a problem. And so we need to get them there first.
So I just want to say one thing. I think this meeting is really interesting and exciting because it tells me that although the council isn't democratic, there is a real grassroots democracy here in this room of all the things that people are doing. What we need to do is to take that democracy and get together and actually start to change the system in Lambeth, which is broken. That's what we need to do. Like for a guy called David Bode.
Right, so the Green Party puts lots of things on the website, as I'm sure Labour does as well. Ed, the other quick thing, and then I'm going to let you speak, is why have you ignored the People's Audit for all these years? I mean, certainly for the last year, and not refused to meet them 6 times, Simon, officially, when they were met by ministers, when they were met by Meg Hillier, when they were met by all sorts of people. What was so dreadful about the People's Audit that Lambeth had to refuse to meet them?
I've never received a request. Simon, have you ever asked anything?
Do you know, I had a request to ask a question at the corporate committee.
Yes.
And the response I got back, just let me finish. The response I got back was, no, you can't ask a question because you've asked it already, which was news to me, that I haven't asked it. And when we did an FOI, we found that the person from Lambeth Democracy had been advised by, he'd sought advice from the borough solicitor, and he actually went against the advice of the borough solicitor. He said, okay, his question's a bit long, but he could cut it down and he could ask a question. So,
No, but did you write to you've written to officials, the councillors, and after meetings?
Yeah. And this goes back a long time over Cressingham. I've written to, I didn't get a single reply from Matthew Bennett. I wrote to all 10 councillors about the Cressingham decision. I wrote to Sean Harris, Well, I got back was well soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, well, things might be changing now, because you've got an offer for Imogen Walker, I understand.
Well,
I will now let you speak.
Oh, that's right.
And if you could, just maybe pick up on some of the things people have said, and then what your overall view of how we're going to get Lambeth to, well, whether you like it or not, there's a perception that in terms of contracts and a lot of these issues, it just isn't getting value for money and it's not being open with people.
Absolutely. Okay. So, as Kate said, my name is Councillor Ed Davie. I'm chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. It is a cross-party committee, so Tim, the Leader of the Opposition, is a permanent member of that. We did invite Councillor Scott Ainsley, the Green, when he was elected, to join the committee to bolster the cross-party nature of it. Unfortunately, he declined to do that. And I'm supported by 3 vice chairs. Councillor Wilson is here, who's Vice Chair for Finance, who you've already praised, Kate, as being really robust and taking up a lot of people's issues. Councillor Jackie Dyer is another one of the Vice Chairs, and I don't think anyone who's ever met or heard Jackie Dyer would ever describe her as anything other than a very independent-minded, robust and decent person who fights for the decent, for all the people of Lambeth, just as we all do.
You want to host them on it. Every council except Rachel.
I allowed everyone else to speak.
Keep going.
And the other vice chair is Councillor Matt Hart, who's also an excellent, very independent-minded backbencher. And he and myself have called in executive decisions.
And how many times have you overruled them in the last year? How many scrutiny decisions in the last year has scrutiny committee overruled the last
We don't have overrule
So
decisions.
what's the point of scrutiny?
How many have you sent back in the last
I
10
don't
years?
interrupt anybody else.
No, but we're trying to, we don't have a huge amount of time. I want to get to the nitty gritty.
No, sure. So we've made dozens of recommendations on everything from the Garden Bridge to Cressingham to lots and lots of other issues, and many of them have been quite controversial. Many of them have been accepted, and we follow them through. Now, someone said earlier about the wisdom of the people, and I absolutely subscribe to that. And when I got involved in scrutiny, one of the first things I looked at was the coroner's inquest into the death of Sean Rigg, who was a black schizophrenic man who was arrested in what is now my ward. And he was restrained by the police, and the coroner found that the use of force was illegal, and that also the local mental health trust had failed him and let him down and his family. So what I did and the scrutiny function did was ask to set up a commission to look into the reasons for that death and try and prevent it by looking at the very large disproportionate number of our black residents in psychiatric care. And then what we did is co-produce solutions with our residents in the community and came up with... I'm just trying to explain to you.
I think the issue is, that I think even though you're chair of scrutiny, what people really want to know is, what do you think about all these issues?
Okay.
As a senior councillor, how can we... Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
So
robust and independent.
Okay.
So people talk about democracy now. So we're all elected in our wards. There's an election coming up on May the 3rd. People have the opportunity to vote for me or vote for others. And that is the nature of our democracy.
We know that.
So,
You're not democratic, you're fake Labour.
That's silly. That is silly. That is not true. Look, Ed, can you just deal with some of the issues? Do you accept that there is a problem? Even the new chief exec who I saw this week accepted that it was one of the biggest problems he felt he had to face, which was the whole question of leaseholders and costings and contractors and auditors.
I absolutely accept that that is a massive issue. No one as a ward councillor could say that everything the way Lambeth delivers housing is in any way perfect. The arm's length management organisation was brought in-house a couple of years ago. It's still very, very far from delivering as we would like it to for residents. But the repairs and many of the other works have improved.
It's major works we're talking about.
And major works is a massive issue. And we in the scrutiny function have looked at this and are committed to taking it further And we'll give a commitment today as a scrutiny function that nobody from the People's Audit has ever requested a meeting or asked to meet with me, or as far as I know, any of... Is that... No, he said he tried to talk to the corporate committee.
You want our homes demolished. Every Labour councillor said the Rachel Haywood voted for demolition.
But that's a separate issue. I mean, that's a separate, it's an important issue, but
fine.
let's just give Councillor...
What I'm saying is, nobody from the People's Audit has ever requested to meet with me or anyone from the scrutiny function, which is the means by which we have, as democratically elected councillors, of holding the executive to it.
You're not democratic.
I don't set the electoral system, okay? I am elected by the people of my ward, and then I'm elected as chair by the full council of councillors who are elected by the people of their wards. That's the electoral system. It may not be perfect, but it is a democracy, and I completely stand by that. Now, what I'm saying to you is nobody from the People's Audit has ever approached us in scrutiny.
But you must have read the report.
What are you going to do? Rather than putting the blame on other people.
I'm not going to blame anybody else.
Say what you're going to do, Rob.
You were aware of the report?
Yes.
Why did it not occur to you as the chair of the scrutiny committee to invite the People's Audit?
We're elected by our residents to look into the issues they wish us to.
Well,
And so,
I'm not a businessman,
I work for a charity. I'm not being
you've got one person who's been, I told him to be quiet, so come on.
I'm just going to watch TV.
That's right. I mean, I think you can tell that people are frustrated. But
So, for example, they talk a lot about the massive growth in top officer pay. Now, nearly all of that is head teachers in the borough that the council had no control over whatsoever. That's set by governors of schools and central government. The money is just passported through the council as a HR function. We have no control over that. So I think there's a basic sort of misunderstanding about some aspects of local government finance.
Sorry,
some of the
that could
issues
be sorted. You could have explained that.
It was explained repeatedly.
Yeah, but you didn't meet them formally, and you
Nobody asked me.
No, but you still.
And Councillor Walker has repeatedly requested to
Not repeatedly, only recently. But anyway, we've now
and
got a
yourself,
commitment.
and
We've
you
now
can't take her up on the
got
offer.
a commitment from the chair of scrutiny that he is going to invite the People's Audit to meet with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tonight, from all the events that has happened, I will not even vote for that Labour pussycat.
On the definition issue, Cressingham are incredibly well organised, and I still think there's a chance that
They don't listen to us.
But there are other estates where people like Westbury.
He's talking about mental health. I've got mental health because of what Labour have turned me into.
Absolutely.
So when you talk about mental health, Councillor Ed Davie, black people got mental health because as soon as they are trying to rise, even our children, you shut them down.
Right.
You shut them down. You are pushing us out. Who and who is going to be here? A lot of our children who are going to university will be able to afford what you are building here. So you tell me, you are telling me you love it. You love it. Mental health, I've got lupus, I've got autism, and I tell you, all you care for is money. Money. You don't think about us. You don't have no voice. Only us. Mental health, call the doctor. I'm going to nursery. You come with me without you coming with me.
Thank you. Can we have one or two people who haven't said anything? There's a lady here. Yes.
Spot on.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to the People's Audit because from Defend the 10, the Library campaign, because we've been campaigning for more than 2 years, and at no point in that time has the Labour Council, Lambeth Council, listened to us at all. We've petitioned, we've lobbied, we've gone to countless council meetings, and actually anyone who calls himself a Labour Council should really ought to be ashamed, to be honest, because it's a shameful display of lack of democracy. What we've all got in common is we've always said listen to the people, and we've never been listened to. So, you know, it's not like we haven't tried. And when we've gone to speak at those meetings, we've been told, you've spoken before, so you can't speak again. You know, there seems to be, a fear of the real people, the people that have voted for you. You know, you say you're representing us, but actually we're not being represented, and that's why the Library campaign and others are full of people who've got, never underestimate the determination. We've not gone away just because, 4 of our libraries have already been ruined. What characterises this situation is truth and honesty and care for people versus propaganda and spin, and it's out of control. And, I know I'm probably speaking too long, but the fact is, the numbers don't stack up. What is behind this obsession with getting your own way? Once somebody decides wanted a gym to replace a library service, and if they had, everyone would have told you we want a free public library service, not a pay-to-use gym. We don't want a library service that does everything that everyone has talked about. There's passion in that, and that's why, more than 2 years on, people are still fighting and still will fight. We won't go away, and you might try and silence us, and there's been plenty of offensive remarks made about us, but we will not go away until we are listened to. But that Carnegie Library, with no disabled access, and a few books put into a space are going to be removed after the election, with a building that belonged to the people and that's being given to a trust that nobody wants. And money, millions going to GLL, and millions going into a project that nobody really wanted with Picture House in West Norwood. Picture House, that renowned company that we all know about, right? In working together with a London living wage employer, Lambeth. I mean, it's absolutely, shameless. You are shameless. I'm sorry it's on the shoulders of one person here, but actually I don't suppose you really care because you don't listen to us. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
And we have saved an enormous amount of money and created many more efficient services, very, very far from being perfect, I grant you, and we all work hard to try and make them as good as possible. And I commit to you, and we've worked really hard to try and get them better. And I'm committed to meeting the People's Audit and to continue to try and improve them, because I recognise, particularly in housing, which is really, really challenging. I've been a non-executive director of unpaid of a housing association as well. Housing is very, very challenging, and we don't get it right all the time. And I think you're right about that we could get procurement and contract management much better, and we in Scrutiny have raised that and continue to follow it through. But actually, resident satisfaction survey of we do the highest ever level, and our tenants of our social housing are also people satisfied. Now, I'm not saying that that's good enough. I'm not saying it's good enough. I'm not saying it's good enough. What I'm saying is, we are not business people. I work for a charity. I'm bringing up my kids in this borough, and I am doing my best, as are my colleagues, to deliver the best schools and services we possibly can. Okay? And I am very willing to work with residents, and I have done, and I've got a proven track record of doing that, in order to try and improve things further. Now, what I was going to say, Kate, was I think in the circumstance where an organisation is under immense pressure with these massive cuts that are not of our doing, sometimes there is a bit of a defensive attitude, and I recognise that. And it's a bit like, you withdraw into yourself. And I'm saying that quite honestly and openly to you, and I want us to be more open, and that's why I'm here, to listen and engage with you.
We're finishing at 9.
We, the Lambeth Homeowners Association, wrote to you in December inviting Holden to us for a meeting and gave you some examples of where some things were going wrong. Didn't have a reply. So we've written again in January, and we hope that we're going to get a reply from the Deputy Director, because we also think we can help with this. We don't want to fight, we want to offer things. And we represent at the moment 720 leaseholders in Lambeth.
Did you ask for a meeting?
I did answer.
We asked it last
Did answer.
we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it.
Is it your chair? I forget his name.
Shane?
Yes, I met him and I explained the timeline of when we were looking at the issues you guys, and he accepted that. So a lot of people have alleged a lot of things about what I haven't done. But that one I definitely
you haven't actually given us a time to actually meet you.
So,
I haven't met him.
No, but you meet with the group. Anyway, you've agreed to do that now.
Yeah, if we can
You're
do
going to have
that,
a very
we can
busy
help you.
little while. Thank you. Yes, this gentleman here, and then there's two more. Sorry, hang on, please, just talk. Hang on.
I've been at council meetings campaigning for the libraries, and we've been absolutely sneered at. And I'll tell you the comments you made. You made the comment, we can't afford libraries because we have to give money for disabled children and victims of domestic violence. They were your terms why you couldn't fund libraries. Now, shall I tell you something? You're spending more now with your consultants and all of your plans than you ever did then. Yes. More. So are you taking the money from those people? Because your financial model is wrecked. Now, I understand you're losing money. The library's put forward a cheaper model for you, but you couldn't accept it because somebody else had something to do with it. Do you know what you've done with the libraries now? You've put them in regeneration. Do you know why? Because it's real estate. That's what you're looking at libraries as, real estate. And that's what this council is doing, and that's why housing people are here and libraries people are here, because the one thing you know and that you like, and that's dealing with property developers, and you like all the stuff that goes with it, where your offices can go down.
Take you to
his team looked at the figures produced by Lambeth officers and said these don't make sense, and then he abandoned us.
That's what we got you here, Shane.
Simon, thank you for that. I think that was one of the best things that Jeremy Corbyn has ever said, which was at Labour Party conference when he stated very clearly regeneration, housing, that whole question of ballots should be here.
Could we hear Ed Davie on ballot?
We should have had a ballot on Westbury, we should have had a ballot, and we will, I hope, have a ballot on the another one in my ward.
Sadiq has put that in the London plan.
Yeah, except that Lambeth are saying that it's kind of after there's a Labour government.
Yeah.
Which wasn't in the motion.
Which wasn't one Right, Simon.
Okay, thanks. Right, correct, yeah. Okay, we'll take you up on your offer. I'm sad it took 3 years to get there, but I've got a whole list of emails.
No, not to you, but you're there representing the council tonight. One meeting, right?
All I ask, can we please just stop, because I've heard certain things you say, I mean, you were talking about the salaries and so forth. Can we please just stop the spin? I think we'll happily work, the solutions are all out here. People can work through these things. We'll happily meet with you, and I'd like to have a constructive meeting, and we'll take it from there.
I think just very simply, Ed mentioned earlier on that democracy is coming up. Democracy does not just happen once every 4 years. Democracy is not just about putting a piece of paper into a box. Democracy is about checks and balances on power. And that is what is arguably the most important part of having a democratic system, is having checks and balances on power. So I would encourage everyone to use your audit period this year. Get involved with the group. Be aware of what your rights are, use them, and keep on using them.
What I would like to see, as been referred to, the people's audit, the local audit period is coming up this year, and we have to use it wisely, and I hope, as a consequence, that maybe the first third time lucky, I might actually get some the data I've been requesting for the last 3 years. So please get involved. If you've got the skills, please join us, because it is always a hard struggle, but the more information we get out there, the more bits of information we can piece together, we can actually see what's happening. And it is sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but it is a slow step forward. And I think just doing that and seeing tonight's crowd here is amazing. So can I say thank you for all of you? It's amazing. Okay, one last thing. I'd like to put a challenge to Ed Davie. Okay. I've been to multiple scrutiny committees. Apparently in the last 10 years, not a single decision has been sent back to the Cabinet. They've brought back recommendations, but they have never sent a decision back. So the challenge for this coming year is to send at least 1 decision back.
So as I say, I've called in decisions myself, and even the leader of the opposition voted to send that back to the executive. Anyway, my final point is, apart from our friends from Southwark, who's very welcome, I think we all live in Lambeth. Me and Andy and others, we're raising our children here. We love this borough. We want to do the best for it. You may not believe that, but it's true, I promise you. And what we all have in common is that we all want to improve this borough. We recognise it's very far from being perfect, and we want to work together genuinely to make it better for everybody. And I think we have that in common, and I'm here to have listened to you all, and I recognise some of the criticism. I promise to meet with the People's Audit, and I hope that we can try and work together constructively to make this an even better place to live, and that's my commitment to you.
Okay. Thank you to all the panelists, and thank you to the organisers, People's Audit, for all the work they've done over a long period of time with very little interest and help from many people to start with, and then more and more people getting involved. I also want to thank the 2 councillors for turning up, because I know that he has taken quite a lot of flack tonight. It would be nice if maybe in the next public meeting we have the leader of the council, although I'm never be getting so near the elections that nobody will be able to turn up because of being seen as part of the. All I want to say is, I'm a Labour MP, but I genuinely want to see this borough being able to work with residents right across the political parties. And I think they have failed the council in many areas, and part of that to me is because there is this feeling of defensiveness when there's absolutely no reason to be frightened of the people that have elected you. I mean, I had some people who don't like what I say, but I still feel that I don't want to be frightened of them. And I think it's really, really important that Ed, you take back that this is not just a group of malcontents as have been sort of portrayed, or Green members or Tories or Lib Dems. They are actually residents right across the area, from housing estates to homeowners to whatever, who have felt that they have been ignored. And whatever the council, whoever is in power after May, then they have to really take this on board. And I think the People's Audit has shown the way forward. And if we can get that unity and everybody to get involved, then I think we can do something about it. But the council need to realise that they're in their last chance saloon in terms of what's been going on, particularly to police orders, libraries and so on. So thank you all for coming.